The end of time. It's where time agents, misfits of normal flowing time, dwell and operate. From here, they travel through different eras to ensure no event is disrupted by any time travel such as themselves. You've been a time agent for a while, but it's the first time you've been to Café Bouvardie, a popular spot to relax for your kind. There, you meet two owners of the place and listen to their stories. Hello and welcome, Lynx here, and we are sitting to another game from Crescendo, who we've met not so long ago, because, well, at the very end of the last year. Now we are sitting to another game from their rather big collection. At least when it comes to indie game developers, it is a rather big collection, I would say. Called Café Bouvardie. I might have pronounced that incorrectly, even though I checked how you supposedly pronounce it, but, well, I don't speak French, so there might be mistakes still. Let's find out what this game is exactly about, even though I did introduce a little bit in the very beginning as well, before the intro arrived and so on. Now that's the way we are going with the videos. But, yes, let's see to it, let's check it out properly now. Start! Slowly, you awaken. The clockwork down outside your golden-rimmed window outlines a chair, a table, a wardrobe, an open door. The gentle whir of machinery fills the room, a soft ticking and groaning of unseen cogs, the creaking of pendulums, the bubbling hissing sounds of steam running through bronze pipes. Your brain feels heavy, hazy, like a drifting scrap of mist. You pull yourself up and give your head a rattle, one by one. Some fragments of your memory come tumbling down, and you remember. You just came back from a remission, not even a cycle ago. Some details drift through the haze and become clearer in your mind. It was an easy routine affair. It was a complicated, tough expedition. It was your first ever outing. You know what, with how the things were described, I kinda am tempted to go with the last option. Because it took us a moment to remember. We are a time traveler, yes. But it took us a moment to remember what we were doing. I would assume maybe the more times you do it, the more easy for you it is to, like, immediately remember. Unless it's the other way around, you only remember when you start, and over time you actually have problem to. Let's go with first outing for. Let's go with first outing. I'm also just beginning this game. I've never played it before, obviously, so. It had been your first actual mission with your partner. The first time you had traveled through the line since you had first started living here. You had studied and prepared for this. You had believed in the time-aged credo. You had dreamed yourself zapping this way and that through time doing your duty, saving the continuum. But alas, in the end, all those nice things would remain just dreams. It's considered common for rookie time agents to conclude their theoretical training with a practical outing. A mission just in name, more a rite of passage than an actual assignment. On that day you were given two temporal coordinates, a short hop in the past and one into the future. Hidden in those locations you found two interlocking pieces of a rusty, beaten up brass machinery. As you put the mechanisms back together and turned the big crank on the front, you heard a faint groaning and its cogs sprang back to life. And after a few seconds of sputtering and creaking, the weird construct spit out a small greyish ribbon which read, "Congratulations! You're a real time agent now, cadet!" in that voice. With a smile on your lips, you pocketed the precious strip of paper and started to make your way back to the end of time. And that's when everything went wrong. As soon as the stream closed around you, you knew that something was off. You felt it instantly, unmistakably, and you immediately recognized it for what it was. You felt it in the groan of your bones, in the way your muscles seemed to tear into ribbons and burn, in the peculiar feeling of abstraction that took over your body. You're suddenly brought back to the present by a distant chanting voice, somebody praying, perhaps, or just singing the morning anew. Trying to shake yourself out of your daze, you slide your way out of bed, limp after limp. That's me every morning. The cold wooden floor feels 1,000 light years away. Time travel has a way of eroding your body. You have known this since they took you from your time and enrolled you as a time agent. It was lesson 1 at the academy. Basically, the human body has an inbuilt limit to how many times it can be forced to move across the timeline. It is a hard limit. It can be known. It can be reversed, increased, decreased, or changed in any way. Oh, that's interesting. Interesting. Its value is different in a given individual, and although many have theorized, nobody knows whether it depends on genetics, luck, physical health, spiritual inclination, or pure happenstance. I guess maybe all together. This limit could be 1, 100, 1,000. When you're makes you wonder, how do they exactly decide how, you know, we are getting this guy to the academy now. I mean, if the limit is 1 for someone, it would feel like such a waste. Anyway, 1,000. When your Ren'Py is up, you can't travel in time anymore, or your consciousness will fall out of sync with your body and lose itself in the time stream forever. Thankfully, time travelers can usually feel when their time has come, if you will. A sudden sense of abstraction takes over their bodies, a peculiar feeling of distance, the faint sensation that the bones inside you are not yours anymore. A brief taster of what will happen if they dare to travel again. It happens to every time agent sooner or later. Even you! You have always known this, you just didn't expect it to happen on your first mission. Oh my god. Speak about being unlucky, huh? Your time is up. Your bell has rung. The Almighty has drawn your ticket. Put cover you want. The truth of the matter is that your short-lived career is already at an end. I mean, that's how it feels in real life as well, to be fair. Anyone else having that feeling? Like, whatever it is, it's like not it. But there is no sense in dwelling too much about what you can't change, is there? It happened, and that's that. The question is, what's next? You get up and stretch your muscles, feel tired and broken, a painful, but welcome, testament to the fact that you're slowly sinking back with yourself. You turn on the light and look out of the window. You can see glimmering clouds, painted broadly on the slowly rotating clockwork dome. I will be saying LED because that's how you say it in Polish, and so I'm so used to doing it like that. But yeah, LED stars shiver faintly to the west as they are pushed to the end of the night by giant unseen cogs. Towards the east, a delicate strip of pink paint catches your eyes. Dawn has come. Through the rising steam you can vaguely make out rows upon rows of irregular, mismatched buildings. Crooked towers, jade palaces, fortresses of steel, catacombs, golden domes, wooden huts on stilts. A conglomeration of bricks, a parliament of spires, a riot, a revolution, a rebellion of buttresses, pillars and domes. Some buildings grow on others, like moss on ancient stones. Some are crude parasites born from the death of other homes. Okay. Some are underwater strongholds tethered by thick, soot-blackened chains. Some are musty grottos dug deep beneath the earth. Some are floating temples, far, ethereal and pale. Some are long forgotten, lost and found and lost again. Through the few gaps between this absurd cacophony of architectural chaos you catch the gleam of polished paving stones, the dull grey of asphalt, the courtyard of distant villas. They say that this is an illusion here. The people that are crowding the streets far below the window of your tower are certainly a testament to the truth. Down means nothing for them as they buzz and fret, as they pace restlessly about, going this way and that on their businesses. Theirs are the voices of unending life. Their plain clothes mark them as civilians. Traders, bakers, jailers, tailors, journalists, musicians. Time agents who can travel no longer. Or who no longer want to. And instead of saving the continuum, they have found something else. Something smaller, perhaps, by no means less significant. A meaning, a purpose, a way to fill their infinite days. Your train of thought is suddenly brought to a halt by a discordant chorus of clanking bells marking the hour of the rabbit. Oh boy. Hour of the rabbit. Are you kidding me? I would not be up at that hour. From 5 to 7 in the morning is... Okay, I mean, I might not be asleep yet. That's more likely, but... Not up, that's for sure. The whirring and ticking of unseen machinery grows more intense, and you step away from the window, sighing. You could learn a thing or two from those people. It's time to stop dwelling about the past and start living in the present. Ah well. Start living in the timeless reality that is the end of time. But first things first. Breakfast! Ilir, the second and northmost district in the Jokulmea Quadrant. Oh boy, now I'm not sure which language this is. If I had to guess, I would say maybe Danish. I'm so probably off the mark. Jokulmea Quadrant. It hasn't been your home for long, but you quickly grew to love it. Homely but harsh, it rests lower than the rest of the quadrant. Your shore legs still remember every meter of the way to the academy. In front of the barracks tower, a narrow path winds its way uphill between two tall, ivy-covered brick walls. You follow it, heading into the heart of Jokulmea, Mursugur, Gua, Harpa. There are many cafes here, close to Ilir, enough shops, restaurants and eateries to last you a lifetime, in fact. And I imagine the number will grow as more supposed time travelers end up there, right? But today you're headed somewhere else. You heard about this place many times from your superiors. It's a regular haunt for cadets and agents alike. You wonder whether they'll serve you. Who are now? Neither. Its name is Café Bouvardie, the place of 4 time agents to unwind between missions. Get a grip on their sense of self and drink something good. 3 things you desperately need right now. Right now! This location is a bit of a hike. The Florial 8th district of Gaul Quadrant, but you don't mind. You need the air and you need the walk. After half an hour, you turn right at a fairly crowded crossing. Cutting towards the west gates, the smell of freshly baked bread wafts your way from a nearby bakery, making your stomach rumble. A red-coated figure walking nearby draws your attention away from your thoughts. A white-haired man with rosy cheeks, striking a fierce silhouette against a jet-black obsidian palisade. On his shoulder sits a rather plump striped cat, looking at the same time incredibly majestic, incomparably dim-witted. I wonder if the cat is also a time traveler. On the man's lapel is a paw print with the words, "The Pet Brigade." Yeah? Both specimens sport whiskers of impressive magnitude. Something about him seems to ring a bell. You eye him closely as your paths cross and, as he continues his way, you suddenly remember. Of course! He's Mr. Sullivan, a time agent known for his distinguished exploits as much as for the blatant breach of time agent code that resulted in a severe reprimand a few years back. You were in the academy when it happened. You still remember the headlines in the Gazette. Earth agent meddles with his own past and creates minor paradox. The higher-ups never forgave him that trip, man. And what was the reason for that transgression? Saving Puree. His plump tabby cat. 3 months before it became terminally ill from an aggressive cancer in one of its forepaws. The two are now inseparable. I would forgive him. Nobody dies. In the aftertime, nobody gets old, nobody gets sick. Flowers do not bloom, plants do not grow, and woods do not fester. Cancer does not spread. Ooh, that's nice. And cats don't die. Let's go. The sea breeze is strongest here. Hailneer is a harbor district. People come here for swimming, fishing, deep diving. Maybe you'll pay the district a visit too, once you figure out a couple of things. Your gaze falls, and in the distance you see two giant wooden gates set into a wall of pure alabaster. Almost out of the quadrant. Then a short walk through Yamatai territory and you're there! Smiling to yourself, you start walking once again. The crisp morning air is like a balm for your worried mind. As the gates close, shut behind you, you notice that the Yamatai quadrant is much darker. The clockwork dome overhead is in fact completely off. You heard about this quadrant at the academy, but you didn't think it would be quite so picturesque. People have constructed their own firmament here. Gas street lights, candles shimmering from the floors, torches set on walls, harsh neon tubes, paper lanterns floating under big wooden bridges. Yamatai is a world of darkness, and light is everything here. It creeps out of the houses and splashes onto the walls, staining passerby and making shadows dance, shiver and move in impossible ways. And everywhere you look, fireflies. Thousands and thousands of fireflies. Real, mechanical, floating lazily about, painting the world in faint, mischievous green hues. This is Yamatai's 12th district. Distant thunder. In front of you is a big red painted wooden bridge connecting it to the 38th evening cicadas sing. You hear the indistinct chatter of people crossing this way, and the soft murmur of the Mercury rivers, and in the distance faint drums accompanied by laughter and music. A festival, perhaps. Picking up the pace, you make your way through the throng of people crowding the bridge. At the first crossing, you turn left, past a group of strangers wearing tentacled masks. Let's leave it at that. Nobody knows who made all of this, really. The end of time, that is. The buildings were made by generations after generations of time agents. But the place itself, nobody knows. The quadrants, the clockwork domes, the intricate machinery that keeps this place alive and dead at the same time. HQ barely understands it, but necessity dictates that everyone uses it nonetheless. Everyone uses, by the way. Some domes are still functioning, some are struck, some, like this one, are permanently broken. At first people tried to fix them, but now they learn to live with it, appreciate it even. It became part of every quadrant's individual character. You're in the 25th district now. Praying Mantis Hatch. The south gates are only a short walk away, and then your destination in the goal quadrant. Thermidor is the highest district here, and from your vantage point, you have quite a postcard view of the whole area. You breathe a lungful of air. It tastes vaguely of spices and frost. What a coincidence, of frost, it's the same now, actually. Totally minus 15 Celsius yesterday, I absolutely went running. It was so good. I loved it. Except for the fact that my fingers were cold despite having gloves on. But other than that, what a good run. Anywho, the gold quadrant is stuck at dusk, 1837 of an autumn evening. To be precise, its sunset-kissed, melancholic abodes rest gently upon a crescent-shaped peninsula. For those who for some reason don't know how 24-hour clock works, this is 37 minutes past 6 PM. You're welcome. Every building here seems to have its own harmony somehow. Perhaps they were all built around the same era, or perhaps it's just the languid pink-orange sun that ties everything together. I mean, I actually totally said that because there seem to be people who, for some weird, unexplainable reason, don't know how a 24-hour clock works. It's so weird. Anywho, Every building here seems to have its own harmony somehow. Perhaps they were all built around the same era, or perhaps it's just the languid pink-orange sound that ties everything together. In the bay, rows and rows of boats lay moored at the piers. Small dinghies, sailboats, skipjacks, all the way to brigantines and galleons. Here and there you also spot a number of peculiar vessels you've never seen in your life. The calm lagoon splashes quietly in the distance. You can't remember precisely what liquid it's made of, but you're pretty sure it's not water. I mean, I'm willing to believe that. But enough sightseeing. The path descends in front of you, leading straight in the heart of the quadrant. You quickly start on your way, eager to finally arrive to your destination. Okay. Making your way past a number of gaudy restaurants, 4 flower shops, 2 libraries, and a very quaint tea store, umbrella workshop, you finally arrive at the mouth of a very small alley. Wait, tea store slash umbrella works. Is someone running like both at the same time? That's interesting. That's definitely interesting. You kind of don't expect, I would say, a tea shop to also be making umbrellas. Right. Anyway, a very small, exceedingly unassuming alley, in fact, tucked right under a tall sycamore tree. You wouldn't even have noticed it, hadn't you already known it was there. Oh. Oh, it was a pause in music, that's why it felt like it changed somewhere. You brush the branches away, and after a short walk you get to the end of the narrow passageway. And finally, to your destination. The facade looks simple but elegant. You feel like you've walked into another era. Honestly, if time agents were taken from various eras, I can see how, well, the entire place could be, you know, varying in how it looks. That would be pretty cool. Like you go from one district to another, and maybe you like travel from like, I don't know, like 15th century to like 21st. That would be cool. Or like 31st, if humanity will survive that long. After a deep breath, you turn the handle. You wonder what kind of cafe it is. Is there going to be live music? Would be nice. Do they serve food? Will it help you find your place in this strange, immortal society? You sigh and pull the door. This place had better be worth a walk. A cafe that more, I would say, gives the vibes of a bar a little bit, at least music-wise. Maybe not with those flowers on the right side, but I like this music. The first thing you notice is the light radiating from the small brass sconces set on the walls. Soft, relaxing, the color of liquid amber. The second thing is the music, coming from a small rusty gramophone, playing from atop a spindly table nested between two tall shelves. It's a song you never heard, but it feels familiar all the same. Of course it would be jazz. Yeah? You think to yourself, smiling a little. A cliché, perhaps, but it does wonders for the atmosphere. Dude, yes. As I mentioned a few times, I wouldn't mind running like a bar of my own. But it would be, well, something like this. It's supposed to be a calm place, jazz in the background. A place where we can like drink and relax. That's what it is about. Now that I think about it, in Poland at least, I've never been to a bar that would be like that. Anyhow, some people are sitting at tables, drinking liquids of various colors from a number of peculiar containers. Most seem to be chatting, others are simply enjoying the music. Some of them are in the agent garb. Some wear the academy uniform. Most of them are in play clothes. You know, nobody. Moving past tables, you make your way to the bar.
Oh, welcome to Café Bouvardie. I'm Clem, and I'll be your host today. What's your poison?
The bartender's voice is cheery and melodic, like a flute. Smiling reflexively, you prepare to answer, when a figure standing to her left interrupts you.
Actually, all alcoholic beverages are poison to the human body. Your brain might have convinced your taste buds to identify the flavor as enjoyable, but that does not change what they are. A very tasty, very deadly poison.
If you overdo it, yes.
Alcohol.
Oh, wait. No, she introduced herself as Clem, so I bet, yeah, it's fine. There is no change.
Alcohol damages the heart, incapacitates the liver, makes you more susceptible to lung infections, cancers, and a host of other painful complications.
Well, if what she said is true, then I should be pretty much free of any of that, given that I rarely drink. This second, short-haired lady pauses and looks at you straight in the eyes. A strange, warm, yet cold smile appears on her thin lips. Is she a bot?
Or at least if we're not living here. Immortality is at our fingertips. We possess infinite days to spend however we please. Pretend to poison your body if that's what brings you happiness.
And just for words, you look back to the first bartender. She shakes her head and shoots the other lady a glance that tells you this exchange has definitely happened before.
Pay no mind to old bitter Lotus, dear. She's always like that. So, what will it be?
Beers. I actually don't like beer. Cordials. White wine. Hot cocoa. Oh. Stouts. Cocktails. Black teas. Actually, I'm having tea over here now, so... Coffee, never. Ciders, red wine, green tea. Surprise me? Okay, this is supposedly a cafe, not a bar, so I'm gonna go black tea. Can I have a cup of black tea?
Of course, coming right up.
The bartender grabs a small pot from below the counter, filling it. Can I also mention right now, because I will forget to do it later. To me, at least, the path to that cafe and how it all was described, it was... wow. It was well done. Like, you look forward to the next step that will be described. Good job on that. Oh no. On to the story, back to the story now. The bartender grabs a small pot from below the counter, filling it with water and letting it boil. Meanwhile, she opens up a deep drawer built in the bar itself and starts rummaging. You see her trying to decide between several small wooden boxes laid neatly one next to the other. After a couple of seconds, she lands on a big red container with some golden Hindi script inlaid on the lid.
Kangrati. Kangrati! Can you guess where it comes from? You probably can. It's the Kangra district in northern India. We picked a small batch of fleece ourselves some time ago during a mission.
Lotus shivers, almost as if remembering a terribly painful memory. Shaking her head, she looks at you with a pained expression.
I still struggle to talk about it. It was awful. We disguised ourselves in order to...
But you are telling me about that still.
We disguised ourselves in order to infiltrate a tea plantation. 34th century India. What a nightmare!
I mean, so nothing changed.
The queen hunted us for days on end. Almost killed us. I still think about it sometimes. Would dream it too, if I were programmed to dream.
The other bartender bursts into laughter while filtering your tea into a cup. An earthy rich smell reaches you and you breathe deeply, trying to fill your lungs with this wonderful, wonderful smell. Yeah?
Oh, Lotus, stop inventing stories. We just went there to get some tea. It was a nice sunny day. We made some friends and came back home in time for cake and pastries.
Lotus snickers mischievously and pushes the cup in front of you.
Drink deep, friend. us died for your tea.
Unsure of who's telling the truth, you decide the safest route is to taste the tea anyway. Awkwardly, you grab the teacup and take a big gulp. Okay. It's very hot. You do your best not to let it show. 4. One positive thing is that your palate has been quite evidently not scalded enough to lose its sense of taste. Good. And you're grateful for that, because this tea is wonderful. Fruity, rich, earthy. You suspect the bartender added some lemon juice, yeah, while you weren't looking. Oh my god, this tea is delicious. It was definitely worth risking your lives for. The two ladies smile at you and Lotus gives you a small note, like a friend you share a common joke with.
So, now that you've had your drink, what's your story? Yeah, spill the beans!
The lady called Clem smiles at you, trying to assuage your obvious discomfort. Lotus, on the other hand, slams both her elbows on the bar, clearing her throat in unsettlingly regular 3-second intervals. Now this is why you came here. This is what you need. Okay, maybe not the inquisitive stares or the frankly disturbing tapping of Lotus' fingers on the bar. But you need to talk. To vent. That's why you walked all this way, after all. And yet, something blocks you, and you can't quite find the words. You try to deflect the question by pretending to sip some more of your black tea, okay? What?
Well, if you don't feel like talking yet, we can tell you something more about ourselves. What do you say, dear?
Dear? I'm already a deer. That would be great, actually. Clem smiles warmly, but Lotus shoots you a suspicious glance. You wonder what she's thinking.
Why did she say that?
Wait, stop.
Why did he say that, Clem?
I'm a dude, so we're gonna go like that.
Why did you say that? Are you from HQ? Well, you can tell your boss that. All our shipments are regulated. We have a permit now. Here, I'll show you.
She slams open the drawer on the back of the bar and starts rustling through the stacks of papers, but Clem places a hand on her shoulder, shaking her head.
Calm down, Lotus. He's just being nice. If we open up, it'll be easier for him to talk about himself in return.
Listen, I'm gonna switch to my kind of person as the main character here. Again, it's not like we are told that the time traveler in the game is a woman. Anyway, also I don't want to switch voice. The two ladies turn back towards you, and you do your best to look as non-threatening as you can. You try a smile. No, not like that! You look like a nervous mess!
Ah, well, you did your best. Let me introduce myself once again, then.
Her voice feels different than before, somehow. A little more grave, a touch more adult. Lotus, as you respond to an unsaid signal, prepares 2 tall glasses of pure cider. One for her and for Clem. You clink your cup against her glasses of tea, okay, and down their gulp of your black tea.
My name is Clementine, and I was born in Lille, a city in the very north of France. It was the 12th of March, 1891.
Oh, so when it was still filled with French people.
I've grown thousands of years since my childhood, but I still remember how it felt to be small in a world of adults. How it felt to be poor in a world of rich. I never met my parents.
Oh.
But I gathered some scraps of information along the years. About my mother, who died during childbirth, and about my father, who abandoned me on the steps of the orphanage.
Wow.
Perhaps overwhelmed with the responsibility or simply unable to provide for me.
I would not be able to do that part.
Of him, they said he had been a destitute tailor of great ambitions and modest skills. At night he dreamed of making clothes, elegant dresses, garments for king, and today he darned socks, adjusted skirts, patched up sheets. Of her, they said that she had been solitary, almost reclusive. To the company of people she preferred those of books, which she read in many languages and in incredible quantity.
Okay.
The first 6 years of my life were spent in an orphanage in the company of other children, as unfortunate as me, supervised by a squadron of bitter nuns, hell-bent on making us regret our very existence.
I mean, typical nuns? I bet it was all old hags, so typical.
Back then, don't think I had too much of was curiosity. I felt like I wanted to devour the whole world, gobble it up and see how everything tasted. I wanted to analyze, study, understand. At the time, my passion for knowledge was absolute, but still too varied, too unfocused. When I was 5 in 1896, the head nun brought us to the train station for the first time. I still remember the people, in numbers I had never even dreamed of, buzzing and skittering like insects, waiting, talking, smoking, reading, hugging, crying.
I read this too fast, didn't I?
Most of the other children were awed by the lavish decor, the fancy upholstery, the enormous windows. A far cry from the austere quarters we were allowed to live in, but not me.
Clem takes a small sip of pear cider. Smiling impishly, Lotus squeezes her hand.
I saw it as soon as we entered the waiting hall. In the back, beyond doors that lead to the platforms, a locomotive, a Goliath of elite and steam, incredibly complex, utterly incomprehensible, obscenely fascinating. I instantly felt an undeniable urge to run towards it, and so I did. Even as primitive as technology was back then, it still felt like magic to the eyes of a small girl such as me. Staring at the inner filaments of a simple light bulb was enough to light a spark of curiosity in my young, overexcitable brain. Well, you can imagine how I felt that day.
You nod, drinking another sip of your black tea.
I still stared at that enormous machine with its wheels, its pistons, its levers and gears. I think I felt something very close to awe, admiration, and perhaps even love. From that day onwards, my all-consuming thirst for knowledge found its focus: machinery. The nuns met my enthusiasm with cold distaste. It was not fitting for a lady to dabble in matters so crude, so vulgar. I of course disagreed wholeheartedly. I would sneak out at night and venture through the alleys up to the old junkyard. You'd be surprised what one can find in such a place.
A lot. A lot.
Rusty engines, broken clocks, discarded fragments of mysterious machines. They were like treasures to me, and I was a pirate, ready to plunder all the riches that the world was too blind to see.
I mean, I'd say that's pretty awesome.
To me, those were mysterious artifacts to open up with the help of stolen screwdrivers, borrowed hammers, pilfered tools, all too big for my tiny hands. They were toys to play with, puzzles made just to be solved. I studied them, I pried them open, I observed their mechanical guts, and marveled at the minds that had built them.
Lotus seems a little uncomfortable at this description. She clasps both hands of her abdomen, unconsciously trying to protect herself.
And when I was done, I closed them again and hid them in a small box I was supposed to keep my clothes in.
You can hear a loud gulp. Poor Lotus. Clem nods it too and ruffles her hair affectionately.
I'm sorry, love. I hope this isn't making you uncomfortable.
Lotus shakes her head and motions her to continue. Smiling silently at her, Clem clears her throat and looks back at you.
Now where was I? Oh yes, when I was 6...
Oh. Phew.
A new chapter started for me. Primary school, mandatory, necessary, boring. And I had such high hopes for it. I could not wait to get started. Education, knowledge, wisdom, books. But alas, back then most of the girls' curriculum was devoted to sewing, cooking, harmony of the household, happiness of the husband, all things I had absolutely no interest in. For 7 years I learned what little I found interesting and discarded the rest. I made some pocket money repairing sewing machines, bicycles, one time even the engine of a tractor, and with that money I bought old, tattered, fifth-hand engineering books, which I devoured night and day.
Nice.
At the age of 13 I finally left primary school and the orphanage behind. I had not made many friends in there, unfortunately, and I was eager to close that particular chapter of my life.
Kind of understandable.
And so I got out in the world, to take it apart and get my hands into its oily, messy innards. But unfortunately, I quickly slammed my face against a hard, cold reality. Nobody had any work for that sort of a small, pasty-faced girl of 13. Blacksmiths would laugh in my face, electricians would think I had gone crazy, plumbers wouldn't even listen to me talk. Sure, people were willing to let me work on their wonky clocks, but they wouldn't trust me with anything more serious than that. The only thing they were willing to trust me with, apparently, were menial, obtuse tasks, and so I had no choice but to do them. Peeling potatoes, scrubbing pans, cleaning hotel rooms. I even learned how to sew and mend torn clothes. I mean, that's in school, you mentioned that. That made me feel strangely close to my father. Slowly, I started salvaging fewer and fewer treasures from the trash heap, and I eventually stopped buying books entirely. I needed money for lodging and food. Unfortunately, that's life, huh? I felt like the world had let me down. Anyone else feeling the same way? I felt trusted and angry with the people who would not give me work, and with myself too, for having given up my dreams.
I feel her. I understand her, totally. Downing the rest of the cider in one big gulp. Clem slams the empty glass on the bar and looks at you with steady gaze.
The rest of my early adulthood was a void, a grey cycle of nothingness. Imagine watching TV static 24 hours a day, for every single waking moment of your life, and you will get a picture of what I went through for almost 14 years.
I bet that's how I would feel if I was not like recording. It's weird maybe to say that, but I feel like that's how it would be.
14 years that I will now skip through for the sake of brevity and to maintain some semblance of dignity. Let's jump to the October of 1914.
1914 is a touchy subject for us Polish people, I would say.
I was 23 at the time, and for as long as I live, I will never forget what happened on that day. The city was under siege. There was no food, no water, and also nothing much to do. The small tavern I was currently working at had no clients. Me, the chef, and the owner were hiding in the pantry.
Oh, it's me and the chef. Okay, I didn't notice that separation. I thought she was the chef. My mistake.
Trying to lay low until the worst was true. The owner had fished out an old deck of cards from who knows where, and we were huddled between two tall shelves trying to distract ourselves from what was happening outside outdoors. If I close my eyes, I can still see the dim, shaky light of those tallow candles. The instant is seared in my mind, like fire into the skin of a mountain. I remember the tarots I was holding in my hand. I remember the sudden stillness, almost as if time had stopped still. I remember the chef's surprised expression, the owner's sudden realization. Somebody had opened fire right outside the door. I heard people shouting in German. The siege had broken, they were in. My first instinct was to find a place to hide, but the other two reacted differently. Both looked at each other and immediately ran out of a small door we had in the back, almost invisible from the outside. Suddenly wishing them luck, I did the only thing I thought was best sensible. I got to my knees and started frantically looking for a hiding place. As my eyes scanned the room, a small detached part of my brain found the desperation almost comical. After all, was I not clawing my way through the hell for a life I did not even enjoy that much? But there it was, a small cupboard big enough for me. I crawled in there, among the onions and potatoes, as I closed the small wooden doors behind me. I thought, well, this is it, Clementine. It was short, it wasn't particularly fun, but that's all you were given. Goodbye now. There was a loud slamming sound and somebody had broken the door open. Heavy plastic toot followed. Boots stomping close by. I held my breath. I tried to reduce myself to a small, insignificant particle of nothingness. I closed my eyes and hoped. A minute passed. Nothing. Then two, then nothing. Everything was still. So I started listening, trying to ignore my heart, which beat a violent and syncopated drum beat against my ribcage, and straining to keep my breathing as quiet as I could. I listened. I listened, and listened, and listened, for what felt like hours. What I heard was complete, absolute silence. Not a soul stirred outside my doors, or outside the doors outside my doors. I don't know what to do. Open the door or risk getting caught, staying there forever and die of hunger. I briefly wondered how long I could survive on raw potatoes and onions. In the end I was too cold to open the door, so instead I waited. I waited. I waited. I waited until exhaustion got the better of me and I fell asleep. I remember dreaming of a mechanical woodpecker hitting a big sturdy oak with its brass brake. Tuk tuk, tuk tuk. In the dream, that sound turned into a machine gun, its bullets hitting the side of a massive steam locomotive. Tuk tuk, tuk tuk. And then I woke up, immediately completely, as my brain made the connection. Someone was knocking against my cupboard. Looking up, almost as if snapping awake from a trance, Clem meets your eyes and gives you a warm yet pained smile. She somehow looks much older all of a sudden. You can feel the weight of everything she's told you in her tired eyes. A few seconds pass, and just as you wait for Clem to reprise the story, you hear a small as Lotus clears her throat.
My name is Lotus. I'm a type 40 time space.
I bet who was knocking was basically someone to get her to the time traveling business, right? I would assume it's that. Anyway.
My name is Lotus. I'm a type 40 time displacement engine. One of what you agents commonly call time bots, or simply just bots. I was engineered by Redacted in the following time coordinates redacted over redacted redacted slash redacted.
She stops, looking at your confused expression.
Apologies, I was trying to emulate Clem's introduction, but I do not have access to many of the vital facts about my own creation. I do not know why. What I do know is my designation. I'm one among the legion of time displacement engines devoted to maintaining the time continuum. Although many consider me one of the most advanced models, I'm simultaneously also one of the longest serving units in my cadre. At the beginning of my lifespan, I worked alone. At the time, only a few of us could boast the company of a human. There were but a handful of you among our ranks, and we considered you too fragile to be exposed to the dangers of time travel. I never thought I needed a partner. After all, I was not only good at my job, I had been built for it. So away I went this way and that, trying to execute my programming the best I could. Many were the paradoxes I had to prevent, and many were the people I was ordered to apprehend, because they would damage the continuum, because they would attempt to meddle with time, because they would pose a danger for humanity.
Nah.
But once and only once, I was ordered to extract a person from its timeline, not because leaving her there would have meant certain disaster, but because she was needed here, in the end of time.
She smiles now, looking at Clem, and you can feel thousands of years of personal history in their gaze. Lotus squeezes her hand once more and continues.
The destination was France, the 14th of October 1914. The target was one Clementine Coudrier, 27-year-old. The briefing did not contain any details on why she was so important or why they needed her in the end of time. But one thing it was clear. Without my help, she would be dead within the hour.
A strange silence weighs over the three of you. Now, the music is still playing softly in the background, but it sounds almost as if it belongs to a different world. You had almost forgotten about the cup in your hands. Let me get a drink now. Mine is cold already. You drink some more of your black tea to quench your strangely parched throat.
The severe time constraint demanded the utmost precision. My entry point had to be chosen carefully. The hired Fisher herself calculated the space-time coordinates. When the stream dissipated from around me, I found myself in a small cramped room illuminated only by a handful of tallow candles. On the floor were French tart cards scattered haphazardly. The smell of slightly rotten vegetables and dirty plates filled the air.
Hey, don't look at me. I already mentioned I hated doing that job.
I knew from my intel that my target was hiding somewhere, so I immediately set out to locate the appropriate spot. Around me there were mostly shelves from floor to ceiling, except for an old cupboard. At the end of the cramped pantry it looked low, small, almost lonely. Drawing a deep breath, even though my respiratory units were registering perfectly normal oxygen levels, I knelt in front of the cupboard and knocked on it.
You vaguely ponder on why a time boat would need oxygen in the first place, but as the story continues, you stow that fact away in the back of your brain, forgetting about it.
I still remember the sheer utter panic I felt at that sound, and the immediate relief that flooded my entire body as the doors opened and I saw her, my Lotus.
I believe you are exaggerating, Clem. You look as scared as a little cheek and you are shaking so hard that you tipped over the bag of potatoes you were sitting against.
Yeah, well, forgive me for trying to spin this yarn with some more color.
Smiling Lotus turns back to you and continues.
Anyway, it took her a few minutes to calm down enough to trust me and crawl out of from that cupboard, which was rather undignified, honestly. One door had gotten stuck and there were potatoes everywhere. I think she slipped and fell at least 3 times. Pah, pitiful.
Why didn't you help me? You thought I was so undignified.
Well, if I have to be honest, I found it amusing.
Clem gives her a small punch on the shoulder. She retreats her hand with a pained expression.
Ow.
Serves you right. Anyhow, after that pitiful show of agility was concluded, I tried to convince her to follow me. And in that precise moment, I suddenly realized one very important, very vital fact about the whole situation. My language modules were not working properly.
Clem suddenly slaps the bar, stifling a fit of laughter.
Right. I almost forgotten.
Something must have happened during transit. Sometimes space interference must have damaged some of my modules. Whenever I tried to access my French libraries, the only language that came up was the one I was given when I was built. Finnish!
Well, that sounds like the better option, to be honest, overall. Let's face it. Every single European country thinks that French is, to speak it clearly, a terrible language. We can't listen to it. Anyway.
So there we were. 2 perfect strangers, standing in the middle of a pantry in the middle of war, and they can't even speak to each other.
I had to apprehend her.
I had to apprehend her. I had to convince her to follow me, for the mission and for her own good. So, I tried it all. Miming, using some very basic Finnish charades. I tried pushing her, but she did not show any sign of understanding.
Well, would you blame me? There I was, scared, witless, and this strange blue-haired person suddenly starts speaking to me in a language I don't understand, all the while goofily moving her arms like somebody who forgot how to run. Honestly, all I wanted in that moment was to run away.
Which you tried to do multiple times!
But you stopped me.
I had...
Their strange fake bickering stops there. And they burst out laughing. You're not quite sure why, but you feel compelled to join in. Oh, ho, ho, ho.
Eventually, time grew more and more scarce. Clem did not seem to want to cooperate in a way with me, so I did the only thing I could think of. I contacted HQ for a forced extraction.
Clem looks at her with a sparkle in her eyes, her face propped on her hands. She's definitely ready and eager to hear what's coming up in this shared tale.
I'm not sure whether you're familiar with the inner mechanism of my model. Our bodies are equipped with concealed mechanisms of various nature. Emergency communication devices, weapons, ropes, a number of hardware interfaces, and so on. Usually we have a direct line to HQ, but the same interferences that have damaged my language models seem to have affected my comm systems as well. In such cases, we are equipped with an emergency system, much more energy intensive, but also much more reliable. And so I had no choice but to use them. And in that moment...
Clem suddenly jumps up, startling both you and Lotus. Her cheeks are puffed and she looks really upset.
No. You're telling it all wrong. As soon as I thought you needed to contact HQ, your main CPU sent an electric impulse to your right arm. The exoskeleton responded with a subroutine and opened up, revealing all the wonders that lay inside.
She turns to you now, an almost frenzied look in her gaze. You feel a strange compulsion to run away. Inside I saw a bundles of black cables coiled around a brass internal structure similar to a golden skeleton. Small strips of multicolored neon lights were running across the cables, presumably to signal an exchange of data. You see Lotus fidget a bit, stroking her left forearm. She looks a little uncomfortable.
Very useful in case you're trying to diagnose a faulty connection, that's for sure. Do you know that the inner surface of her exoskeleton is actually made of special alloy? It's jet black, flexible, and extremely reflective because...
She suddenly turns towards Lotus as if telepathically sensing her growing unease.
Oh, sorry, love. I did not mean to embarrass you.
The It's okay. I'm used to you describing me in painstaking detail to whomever will be patient enough to listen, but could we back to the story, please?
Of course. So where are we?
Right, so as soon as I saw, well, all that, I felt like a young painter admiring a Caravaggio for the very fair...
Sorry. Wrong voice again.
Right. So as soon as I saw, well, at all that, I felt like a young painter admiring a Caravaggio for the first time. Like a young composer listening to Chopin for the first time. Like...
Yeah, well, you weren't exactly that eloquent in the moment, you just started yelling at me.
Well, yeah. I might have screamed, "Oh my lord, the talking machine," over and over again. But that does mean I didn't feel all those things.
Anyway, after that she just grabbed my hand, my left hand, and came with me to the end of time, and she hasn't stopped pestering me ever since. She found many increasingly unbelievable excuses to be at my side. She asked for guided tours of the quadrants, then begged me to help her through agent training. She asked me to accompany her to the library, to the museum, to the cinema.
Clem looks at you with a sardonic look in her eyes.
And after all of that, she still didn't get it. Would you believe that?
Well, pardon me for not being well versed in human romance, Clem.
The only way to get her to understand was to ask her out on a date. Explicitly. Oh, the embarrassment.
Yeah, well, let's move on, please. After that, she graduated from academy, and we started heading out together. As I said, I never had a partner, and...
Clem jumps up and looks at her, furiously wiggling her eyebrows.
Would you say I was?
A few seconds of silence pass. You can faintly hear a faucet dripping in the distance.
Your first?
Great joke, Clem. As you and Clem burst out laughing, hitting a bar like two drunk friends who haven't seen each other in years, Lotus looks at you. You instantly feel all humor evaporate from your brain and vanish like it never existed.
Well, it appears that childishness is a commonly shared trait among humans.
Lotus shoots her one last look and then she allows herself a very small chuckle. Scientists could probably use that chuckle to measure what the shortest possible unit of time is.
Anyway, after the missions came the marriage, and then eventually my time as an agent ran up. And that's when we opened up this place, for us and for people like you.
Speaking of which, we are here for you, dear. It's why Café Bouvardie exists in the first place. I hope we do not overwhelm you with our story.
Clem smiles once more, nodding in agreement. Then her gaze turns back to you and again you feel the irresistible urge to... which you do very loudly. She refills your empty cup and grins.
You heard the wife, we're here for you. I have the feeling you are in need of someone to talk to, and that, my friend, is something we can definitely provide.
You nervously scratch your head. You clear your throat with a small... which you hope sounds real. It doesn't. You fidget with your cup. Well, no time like the present, right? You take a deep breath and finally start talking. Said you so many people like me. Well, I wonder if that's actually true. Clem grins at you, as if accepting a challenge.
Oh, darling, I've been running this cafe for almost 8 years now. There's much I haven't seen. Go on, try me.
Maybe, oh yeah, you did not start the cafe in 1914 as well. Anyhow. Well... have you seen many time agents end their career right after their initiation mission? She seems a little taken aback at this. Lotus looks at you like you're a poor girl who just... poor boy who just dropped his last scoop of ice cream.
You mean you felt the pull after your first mission?
You're not. You tried not to look too bummed out by the whole situation.
Oh dear, that's unfortunately, but definitely not unprecedented.
At least you made it past your very first trip, kiddo. Strictly speaking, it was your third temporal voyage, wasn't it? You came from your time to here, you went on your first mission, and then you came back. Yeah, it's sad, but it could have been even worse. You could have gotten stranded in some other time. Or you could have not even survived the first trip here.
She gives you a grim smile. I guess you have a point. I hadn't thought of it that way. Clem smiles at you, and in a small nod you see a lifetime of listening and understanding.
As I said before, I know what you're going through, dear. It's the inevitable ending to this career. But does it have to be the end of your life?
Quite opposite, in fact. You are now experiencing an infinitely more powerful version of what normal humans usually go through when they conclude their education. Or at least that's what I read in a book.
What do you mean? What was I supposed to feel after I finished education? I don't know. Whatever. I don't get what she means.
That's a very apt comparison, love. What are you feeling is the mental equivalent of what your body would go through if you were exposed to the vastness of space. You're crushed by the unbearable wave of infinite possibilities.
Yeah, you bet I did not feel like I have infinite possibilities after I was finished with my school life. Definitely did not feel that. You chuckle at this exaggerated and slightly ridiculous description and shake your head a little. I just don't know what to do, Clem. She smiles at this and nods.
Does any of us ever know that, dear? At any point in our existence, under any circumstances, look at us, me and Lotus. Do you get the feeling we know what we are doing?
You observe the shelves behind them, full of bottles neatly arranged in regular little rows. You think about the entrance so full of flowers, life, meaning. You remember all the people that told you about this place. It was a haven for them, a place where they could unwind, relax, feel safe. Yeah, actually I do. I mean, look at this place. So many people come here for rum all over the end of time. And not just for the drinks, for the atmosphere, for the music. They come because of you too. The two women on the other side of the bar look at each other and exchange a look you can't quite decipher.
Thank you. Those are some very kind words.
But in a sense you're wrong. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know what's going to happen to us or to this cafe. We know what page of our book we are on, if you will. I know you hadn't been an agent for long, but think of your years at the academy. Think about how hard you studied, how much you trained. Think of how driven you were back then.
Not at all.
What was different about time? That time, how did those years feel?
You think back to the past, not sure what to concentrate on. How do you trap such a vast amount of time in a single feeling? Sure, it was hard, but felt effortless, like following a clear path in the dance of a grown forest. It felt like the only thing I could do. It felt right. You take another small sip of your black tea, and it felt like it was worth something, you know.
But time is just time, simple as that. A cycle spent being a time agent is exactly the same as cycles spent pursuing your passions. It is not worth more, it is not worth less.
Let me Let me crack open a drink now. A mango monster. Totally after having that tea. I don't feel like I need to replenish strength. I just feel like having some mango to drink.
In fact, it is not intrinsically worth anything. Worth is something you must ascribe to things. And it is a concept I find, frankly speaking, mystifying.
Yeah. Clem smiles at you warmly, like a mother who's trying to teach a particularly stubborn daughter how to tie her shoelaces.
The academy gave you discipline, schedules, duties. It gave you rules and it gave you something to believe in. Now it's over, and it's up to you to find your own discipline, your own path, your own purpose.
Like you did with this cafe. She shakes her head, still smiling.
No, dear, like I did with Lotus. But most importantly, like I did with myself. Before I met her, I was Lost. I had wishes as...
Fuck. Wrong voice again. I'm stupid. This is Lotus, and now we switched to Clem. One more time. Rewind. Let's go.
The academy gave you discipline, schedules, duties, it gave you rules, and gave you something to believe in. Now it's over, and it's up to you to find your own discipline, your own path, your own purpose.
Like you did with this cafe. Shakes her head, still smiling.
No, dear, like I did with Lotus. But most importantly, like I did with myself. Before I met her, I was lost. I had wishes, aspirations, dreams, but life had denied me the tools to realize them by bringing me here. She gave me the freedom to explore myself. She gave me the tools to become whatever I wanted. In a way, I experienced this place the opposite way you did. The missions were a noble pursuit, sure, but they distracted me from what I truly wanted. To be somebody. The person I felt I was, always meant to be. And I suppose that's the real question here. Who are you truly? What is your identity? Who speaks in your mind when you think? It's not in a philosophical, psychological, or social sense, mind you. My extensive readings in the matter seem to indicate that humanity as a whole has been struggling with this concept for millennia.
You bet.
What my esteemed colleague wanted from you was a moment of self-reflection. Should you look inside your mind and search for the core of it all? The seed which gave birth to the tree that became you.
You look into your cup, searching for an answer. The cup, please give me an answer to my question, because I have no clue how to answer it.
What do you see at the source of it all? What is there beneath the duties, beneath the obligations to which you are bound? What remains once everything else has fallen away?
You close your eyes. It's like you're digging now. There are so many things you thought belonged to you, traits you felt were part of yourself. You are no longer sure what is yours and what was imposed on you by the others. You realize you have lost sight of the line that separated yourself from your duties. But every labyrinth has an entrance. What shall you think about? What I did before I became a time agent, the things that make me happy, what I dreamt of becoming when I was a child, the things I never loved. Why would you go with that? Okay, the last option is out of the question. You know what, let's go with number 2, the things that make me happy, come on. Why would you not think about that? I love evenings, yeah, and nights, yeah. I love the way the sun waves in the distance, almost as if melting on the horizon. I love the feeling of the day coming to the close, yeah. A small chapter reaching its ending. Good days, bad days, they all end, and that's the way it should be. I love staying up at night, yeah, when I shouldn't, and sleeping in when I should be out doing something more productive, yeah. Dude, that was such a perfect choice for me. It's literally describing me. I love the taste of basil. Okay, maybe not this one. I mean, I don't know about that one, to be honest. I'm not sure. I love snow, yeah, and the silence it brings, yeah. Also the crunch it makes when you walk on snow, oh, yes. Anyway, I love when things don't go according to plan but still end up magnificently. I love stacking books one on top of the other. Yes, actually I like that. I like the smell of the forest. Maybe yes, not necessarily a fan of forests though, to be honest. Like, overall. Like, I would not want to live like in the middle of the forest, for example. Anyway, you stop, suddenly self-conscious of how inane this all must sound to Clem and Lotus. Sorry, I got carried away a bit? Don't be sorry about that, my dear. That's precisely the point. Your enthusiasm shows me that these are important things to you, things you should never be ashamed of. But what can I do with them? It's not like I can make a living out of eating basil or smelling pine cones. I mean, you say you like the forest. Good, go try making a living out of that. I mean, you could. Taking care for what for? It's probably not the name, but basically the forest watcher, right? Whatever you would call it. Lotus shakes her head and regards you with a touch of distaste. Oh no, what have you said now?
You humans and your constant obsession with productivity.
Thank you! That's so true! Actually, I have the productivity towards freaking YouTube. I would like to increase it like crazy. Even for, well, the last year was pretty freaking crazy, considering we played so many games, but you know what I mean. I think I could do better. Sadly enough, in order to do that, I would need to solely focus just on that, and well, unfortunately, that is not necessarily possible. So I need more of you to subscribe. Anywho.
Millennia of capitalism have turned you into more of a machine than I could ever aspire to be.
What my rude wife is trying to say is simple. You are not just a collection of useful traits. As am I. As is anyone. Do you seriously believe we don't have those?
I collect objects that start with the letter X.
What? I sometimes spend whole days just looking at clouds. Yeah.
One time I ran all the way across the end of time. It took me almost 5 months.
Oh. And I daydream about what minerals taste like. Bottom line is, we're all strange creatures made of contrasting interests and useless traits. Go for walks if it brings you joy. Stare at the sunset if it makes you heart age in that good way you love so much. Eat that basil. Stay up. Sleep in. Stack all the books you can get your tiny hands on. If something contributes positively to your mental state, and as long as it doesn't hurt, bother, or inconvenience other people, then just do it. Go for it. You're slowly not trying to process all of this. Promise? I think so. I mean, I'll try. You take a sip of your mango energy drink. And go back to your mind for a second. There is more. You feel like you're not done yet. Oh. I'm not done yet. Okay. Let's go what I would dreamt of becoming when I was a child. Let's go. I'm gonna tell you right now, it was being a football player. Do I regret quitting at the age of 5? I'm not actually sure. Was I 15 or 16? Do I regret? Yes, I do. Even though that would probably not lead to any professional career, like proper professional career. And by proper professional career, I mean getting out of Poland to play football, because football in Poland I do not consider to be professional. I'm being honest, even the supposed top league, it's not professional in my eyes. So basically getting out of here is like basically the goal. If that's not what you aspire as a footballer in Poland, then what is wrong with you? Anywho. When I was a little boy, I dreamt of traveling the stars. Okay? I would like to travel... maybe not the world, because there are multiple countries that I would rather avoid going to. But I feel like that main kind of goal will always be Japan. Might never realize that one for. Anywho, I want to leave it all behind, become an astronaut and explore the cosmos on my little ship. Okay, I understand. He said... our character said that it was the child... The choice was for the childhood, right? As a child. Yeah. You said leaving everything behind as a child? Dude.
I definitely had that thought multiple times, but way later, not as a child. Then at 12 I learned of the existence of programmers, and I immediately wanted to become one. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I also had, like, kind of similar thinking. Not a programmer, though. I think, if anything, I wanted to make websites and so on. And strangely enough, what they taught us in middle school and then in high school was just HTML with that. I was good at that crap, but I never followed with it. Huh. I probably would not be able to learn that stuff anywho. I wouldn't have been able to tell you what they even did in the first place, but I spent my days clacking on every keyboard I could find. Okay. Programming not for me. I did understand the basics, and I think, like, crazier, I could not get at all. Then at 15 I dreamt of opening my own space bakery. And make space bread, space cakes, and space croissants for all the hungry space people that would pass by. Yeah, I know. Dude, I mean... Want me to write you your own program for your company, while also baking a lovely cake? Look no more. Anyhow, for a brief period I also toyed with the idea of becoming a professional basketball player. Okay, that's not for me. But I quickly realized I lacked both the height. Yes. I mean, come on, I'm 171 right now. So, yeah. The talent... maybe. Funnily enough, I think... I don't know, maybe due to playing football, I would say at least at the, like, amateur level, like very amateur level, you know, basically school level of people, it made me being at the higher level even in basketball, funnily enough, but it was definitely not my sport. And the dedication, yeah. It feels a bit strange to tell them about your dreams, but it also feels right, almost like you're paying them back for telling you their story. I mean, it only makes sense. Is this information relevant in any way?
Yes and no. It's just that you're not afraid of being big or weird.
And that's good. It means you shouldn't have too much trouble experimenting with new things. Variety is one of the most important elements to living a healthy life in these parts.
Oh. Actually, then I would fit in. Because we play variety of games, there is variety of instances of situations. I said multiple times, I would not mind, like, working in a bar, or more like opening my own bar. I said multiple times, I would totally love to give a shot in working in a library. The problem is there are no libraries in my city. And what also is a problem, supposedly you actually go to university specifically to be working in a library. Not gonna lie, that surprised me, but yeah. Yeah, basically interesting stuff. I bet I would find even more interesting stuff that I could dive into in a way. Anyway. You're not taking a mental note, TT. Do you think I should pursue one of these things?
Once again, yes and no. It could be a good idea to start with something familiar, something you've already envisioned yourself doing.
But don't limit yourself to what you know. Don't exclude things just because you think you won't be good at them or because you feel like they would be a waste of time.
Is this why I'm making videos? No, I just enjoy doing that. I mentioned this as well, over and over again. It's fun. Is that why you opened the cafe? Was it you trying out new things? It does feel quite distant from your original dream, if you don't mind me saying.
I know, it is that great. Imagine being stuck doing the same things after almost 3,000 years. But the passion for machinery is still alive and strong within me. Don't you worry. Oh, you should see my laboratory. No, he really shouldn't. No one should. It's a right old mess, Clem.
You take a sip of your mango energy drink again. And go back to your mind for a second. There's more. You feel like you're not done yet. The things I never... I'm not gonna do that. I don't want to go negative. Let's go. What I did before I became time agent. Let's go with that. They never told me why they took me from my timeline. Perhaps I would have grown up to become a criminal. Or a rogue time traveler. To be honest, I find it hard to believe. I was sure I would have an ordinary, boring life. Personally, I know I will not become a criminal. Rogue time traveler. Who knows? Who knows? Wait, if you are a rogue time traveler, aren't you a criminal? I wonder, right? I mean, technically... It's not like there are laws introduced to us regarding time traveling, right? So it's not like we are breaking any rules which would make you a criminal, I guess. You only can be a criminal as a rogue time traveler if you actually commit crimes, I guess, yeah, but like changing the outcomes and so on, that is not being a criminal, right? Why am I asking such a hard questions myself right now? Anyway. I was only 17 when I came here. Ooh. I thought of myself as a normal teenager. I liked reading, writing. Ooh. That's not me. I enjoyed food. At 17... Yeah. I mean, I still enjoy food, to be honest, but... Definitely... not as trashy as back then. And sometimes I bake bread with my dad. I've never baked the bread. Clem looks at you with a pained expression.
Poor dear. You were so young. Do you miss it? Do you miss being there with your family?
Sometimes, yeah, but if I was to become a danger for the time continuum, then it's better that I stay here. For the good of everyone. 4 games are now discounted from your wishlist on Steam. Cool. Anywho.
You are a very, very strong person. Stronger than me, that's for sure. Nostalgia is something I could never cope with. Luckily, I don't have any for my dual old life.
She gives you a small pat on the shoulder.
So we know you are willing to sacrifice yourself to set aside your personal interests for the good of others. Most societies believe those to be very positive traits.
Okay, what you just said about me, that's not necessarily true. I would set aside my personal interests for the good of others, but to define others, it's the people who are actually important for me. If it's someone I don't know, I would not definitely sacrifice my own personal interests. I'm gonna say that right now. Or... this kind of... what she said here kind of hints at you would risk... you would risk something for a stranger. I would not. That's for sure. And I'm openly saying that, and I absolutely feel zero embarrassment about saying that. Let's continue.
I partially agree. It is likely that the only reason why we perceive them positively is because they allow the society we live in to thrive. Social behaviors benefit the community. And the community in turn encourages those behaviors through positive reinforcement.
But don't overdo it, dear. Don't lose sight of what matters most. Your own happiness.
Exactly.
You also learned you liked writing, reading, cooking, eating.
What a short, insignificant list. You feel exposed, mundane, like one of those small, unattractive potatoes that lie forgotten at the bottom of every cupboard. Here goes the offer, by the way. You like cooking and eating? Well, what a coincidence, we are actually looking for a chef. Anyway. You're not, and for some reason feel your cheeks burning. What is this? Why are you blushing? Stop it immediately! Lotus continues, raising one of her eyebrows.
And what is that reputation supposed to be, young boy? These are important things, not because they are good, special, or anything else, but because they are all yours.
They are a part of you, just like your hands, your hair, or your nose. No less and no more. They make you who you are, and you should hold on to them for dear life.
And please don't be embarrassed about them. It does no good to anybody, and it's such a cliché response. Why not be proud instead? Or excited? Or surprised? Now that's something I don't see that often.
You desperately try to make your cheeks stop blushing with the sheer strength of your willpower, but it appears that the human body does not work that way, damn it! You're just not very hard. Perhaps that will help. You take a sip of your mango energy drink. And go back to your mind for a second. There's more. You feel like you're not done yet. Oh no, I don't want negative. Do we have to talk about negative? Do we have to? Do you have to? Okay. I've always been afraid of the sea depths. Okay, that's actually true. I used to lie awake at night, imagining what manner of bizarre creatures could hide down there. I wonder why deep space instead fascinates me so much. Because you don't know if there is anything in space. And when it comes to the sea depths, we know there is some stuff there. Yeah, I would say so. Also, I still think that would be nice if, I don't know, more organizations, more people focused on exploring the sea properly first. Maybe not first, but at the same time. But yes, I do believe we need to know more about Earth in general. Like, yes, go and somehow find a way to explore the sea depths properly, so we learn about it more. Because I feel like, at least, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just the media coverage and so on, but I feel like we are more focused on space than where we are when it comes to exploring the place, right? You know what I mean? I hope. But we barely know, I feel like, anything, or barely anything told to us about the sea depths. Anyway, perhaps that's why I always like taking long walks on the beach, but never actually wanted to take a dive. Oh, that's me. I also never felt like the need to learn to swim. I also dislike the taste of asparagus. That might be true? And I've always been a complete disaster with kids. I don't like kids in general, that's true. I don't see the appeal in cars. Okay, that's not true. Never have. I don't see the appeal in the cars that are created right now for. I honestly have... Listen, it's cool that we try to find, like, supposedly environmentally friendly means of transportation, which, let's face it, they are not still, given like the production and so on. They are not friendly for environment, really. But I don't know, they just don't work for me. They have zero appeal to me, to be honest. And I don't feel like making everything electric is that great. I know. And they are not, I would say, as convenient as you would think. But that's just my approach. Anywho. And I don't think I'll ever get a license. I thought... Okay, that's not me. I was like, I'm 18. Let's go. Actually, I've started my training for getting a license before I hit 18. As you actually can do that. I did theory training, which if I remember correctly, that was 30 hours. When I was still 17. And I don't remember if I started the driving training also when I was 17, or was I 18 already? I might have been 18. Because I do remember going for the exams in winter already. Anywho. I dislike the sound I make when I sneeze. No? And I'm profoundly afraid of dying alone and forgotten. I already signed up for that part. Dying alone? Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Funnily enough, I also was thinking that even if I, you know, obviously end up with someone precious and so on, I feel like it's better if I live longer, if that makes sense. Because that way the other person who hopefully actually has some feelings for me would not have to be hurt. Weird approach maybe, but that's how I feel. Anywho, and forgotten. I will not be forgotten, even if a little bit. Some people might still run into my YouTube videos in the future. Look at me making a career out of this after I'm gone. Anyway, well, I suppose this last one is a fear I can finally put to rest. You stop looking at Clem and Lotus. Is this good? Is any of this good? Are you closer to finding out how to live? What to be? Does everyone have to go through this in order to live a healthy life?
Well, not necessarily, no. Each one has their own methods for going back to the roots, for dealing with change as big as this.
You ponder on it for a few seconds. And what is yours? She smiles again and nods approvingly, a small gesture that makes you think you asked the right question.
It's been different for me. I wasn't forced to give up being an agent. Instead, I chose to stop of my own volition. Oh! One day I just woke up knowing I was done with that chapter of my life. I resigned as a time agent and opened up a metal workshop. That was such a long time ago. Anyway, for all I know, I might still have 1,000 trips across the continuum in me. But that does not matter to me. Here is another small beam of wisdom for you. Just because you can do something, it doesn't mean that you must.
That's a good lesson. Yeah. Listen, you might be like a genius at something, but you might not enjoy something, yeah? It doesn't mean you have to do it because you are amazing at it. Yeah. She is giving here a very healthy... a very healthy way to approach life. Her eyes are more serious now. For some reason you feel like you ought to write down some notes.
And I resigned with her, of course. Just because you're literally built for something doesn't mean that you have to do it. First time but to ever resign. Haha, I feel I should be proud of that.
Yeah?
Oh, don't you worry. I'm proud for the both of us.
Reach for your cup to take another sip of your mango energy drink. But it's empty! No, it's not. Haha, you wish. Clem seems to notice it too and gestures towards it.
Ready for a second cup?
You shake your head. It feels like things are finally starting to make some sense. Not yet, I think. I think I found what I came here for. Lotus looks at you with a certain surprise in her eyes. She was clearly expecting you to struggle a bit more with this phase of your self-realization.
You have? You mean you now know what to do? Here in the end of time?
No, not really. But for some reason, while I was talking with you two, I realized that's not even the point at all. I was struggling so much with all those questions. But they don't have an answer, do they? You look at Clem now. She regards you with the warm affection of a mother eager to learn what her kid did in school. Clem, thank you for your story. Really, it reminded me of the dreams I had before coming here. She nods and you turn to Lotus. And Lotus, thank you as well. You rebel against your programming and remind me that there are more important things than what people expect from you. She also nods and you continue. I felt like the academy was my life, but that's not true. I've forgotten everything else I had me for that. I'm more than a cog in a machine. I have needs, things I love, things I hate, things I long for. Do they matter? Do any of them matter? Before coming here, I didn't think so. But now I think they're more important than I realized. Clem looks radiant now, and you really feel like you got the heart of the issue. You smile at them, feeling a strange serenity well up inside of you, like a hot water balloon.
So in conclusion, any plan on what you're going to do with this life?
Oh, I have absolutely no idea, but I think I'm finally ready to find out. It feels strange to announce that almost as if it were a first great big victory. It's not a concrete solution, it's practically not a solution at all, is it?
And isn't that just the point of it all? Perhaps there is no solution to life, no concrete answer to what you search.
I'm tired of only appreciating the concrete things, of only measuring my life in what I can wave and what I can touch. You feel something different in the air now. It feels fresher, more invigorating, or perhaps it's just you. I know what happened here, but I feel like I've earned back a piece of myself. And for the very first time in a very long, very exhausting cycle, I feel like I can look forwards to the future. Thinking about it makes me optimistic even, which is strange considering I was just kicked out of the only reality I have known for the past years. So, thank you, both of you, for telling me your story, for this wonderful black tea and mango energy drink, and for helping me out. Little shakes her head then, but you notice she's smiling.
Nonsense, dear. You did everything by yourself.
Clam reaches over to you, ruffling her affectionately.
We just nudge you in the right direction. So, kiddo, are you ready to take this whole world by storm?
You smile and push your cup towards her. Absolutely. But first, can I have some more black tea or mango energy drink? Thank you for playing! Game made for the Yuri Game Jam 2019! Crescendo when it comes to scenario and GUI. Altan Covert, also scenario and script. KTA art and again GUI. GUI. Also Crescendo for the audio. Audio was so good. And here you have also the social medias. And I will click next now. And we are finished! Café Bouvardie. Definitely a game that will make you thinking about life. Not gonna lie. It's definitely made me thinking about life. But, well, I mean, I will not be telling about that right now, given the fact I pretty much talked about it while we were playing. Dude, this was a game that really, like, hits where it's supposed to hit to make you think properly about stuff. And yeah, the girls definitely were able to, well, show pretty much I would say what I'm thinking in a lot of aspects as well, overall. Funny. Kind of funny, but also very interesting. Anywho, the game is linked in the description as per usual. I will not be doing a lot of like talking about the game now. I think I've done enough like talking, as I already said as well, while we were playing. Mentioning stuff and so on, agreeing or maybe slightly having a different opinion, just slightly from what the girls said. But yeah, I would say mostly they know what they are talking about here. So, absolutely wonderful story. And as I mentioned, when we were just walking to the cafe, I was like, wait, this took us, I think it took us half an hour to just get to the cafe. I didn't feel it. It was so well written. Wow. This stuff was so well written. Amazing. Great job on that. Maybe it's time to become a time agent. Makes you curious. Like, if you actually became a time agent. Makes you curious. Would you be unlucky and would you get... We are totally jumping out of the main, like, kind of topic of the game. But if you were a time agent, right? Makes you kind of curious if you could do all of what was described here, what they do. And what could happen if you would be unlucky to, for example, get stuck somewhere that you can be retrieved and so on. Or would you actually end up where this group of lovely people is? Yeah, especially since you don't really know what's your limit and so on. Anywho, the game linked in the description, as per usual. Go give it a rating on each as well. It's free as well. I mean, the game. The rating as well is... you can rate any game, obviously, for free. But the game is overall free on its own to download. Check out other stuff from Crescendo. From the game, you can access the dev page. And there is quite a few games over there. I do believe... I not remember how many, but I think some of them will play still as well. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Of course, I will ask you to like the video if you enjoyed it. That's super helpful. If you're new around, subscribe. We'll be playing more games, that's for sure. For maybe not at such high tempo as last year. I'm not sure. We'll see. I wish I could be playing at a higher tempo. Actually higher than last year. I wish I could cover even more games, but well, that would be tough. For that, as I mentioned, I need more of you to subscribe, basically. Alright, let's cut it. The clock is ticking. The clock is telling me to end this, to not keep you here any longer. Tomorrow, next game. Hope to see you there. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.